What if, right here, right now, I bought the Disneyland Resort? What improvements would I make to each of the two parks? What new rides would I add? That's all going to be discussed in this video, going year by year from 2023 to 2027, keeping it as realistic as possible. So there are a couple of things I would want to do in 2023 right off the bat, starting with not retheming Splash Mountain. This is one of the best rides I have ever been on, and I am extremely sad to see it be rethemed. It's pretty much a perfect ride as is, and I don't think anyone really wants this ride to be rethemed anyway. So yeah, if I was to buy Disneyland, then it would still be a zippity-doo-dah-day when you walk by this attraction. Plus, if you just cancel the whole thing, then that costs less money. Another thing I would do is reopening Toontown as planned. This is too far into the works to cancel this anyway, but Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway and all the other improvements they're making I think will make this area so much better, and while I like it now, I think with all these new additions, it's going to be a great area. So reopening Toontown would certainly not be shelved. The final thing I would do in my first year of operation is add more original Star Wars characters to Galaxy's Edge. I know it messes with the timeline, but since Mandalorian is going to be in the park anyway, then they're already messing up the timeline as is. And who wouldn't want to see the original cast, especially Darth Vader in my opinion, walking around Galaxy's Edge? It would just be so cool. Because as it stands right now, that is one of my biggest complaints of Galaxy's Edge. The fact that they don't have any of the original cast, which are my favorite set of movies in the Star Wars franchise, but that's just my opinion. Anyways, add more original characters. 2024 would be a pretty quiet year gearing up for the year to come, but I would do something to Incredicoaster. Not going to change the theme or layout anything, but I would retrack the vertical loop. Because my goodness, it is rough. You don't really bang your head there, but it kind of feels like the ride switches to square wheels during that part of the experience. I would sincerely like this ride a lot better if that vertical loop wasn't so shaky. This is one small thing, but 2025 is going to be special. Because in 2025, Tomorrowland is going to be completely refurbed. So what does this entail? Well, a lot of things. Firstly, I would remove all of the track that the People Mover used to use. You can't put the People Mover here again because this track is not structurally stable anymore, so obviously that is out of the question. But as of now, it just gets in the way and is really an eyesore, so removing this I think would really make the land feel a lot more open. As for Buzz Lightyear's Astro Blasters, I would keep the interactive shooting dark ride but retheme it. In my humble opinion, I don't think it makes any sense whatsoever to have any Toy Story themes in Tomorrowland. So any Toy Story themed rides or other attractions would be rethemed. As for Space Mountain, don't worry, that ride would remain unchanged. I just can't change such a classic attraction like Space Mountain. That would be insane, like changing Splash Mountain. Oh, wait. So yeah, no question in my mind that Space Mountain would remain the same indoor roller coaster that it's always been. What about when it changes to Hyperspace Mountain every year, you ask? Well, I would still keep that going because I really think it actually makes the ride better. But just as it is now, just a seasonal thing. The colors and architecture of the land would also be changed a little bit because I'd want to make everything look more like Tron Light Cycle Power Run. Because that coaster remains futuristic to this day in comparison to Tomorrowland, which really doesn't look that futuristic anymore. I'm aware that this would cost a lot of money, but I still think it would be worth it at the end. 2026 is a year that will have less investment than the year prior. Kicking it off in Avengers Campus, I would first add a show to this land. I think that's something that this area is dearly missing, and it would make a lot of sense. I have absolutely no clue what the show would be about, but if you had a decent budget for it, then I'm sure you could put in some pretty cool effects. So that would be my addition to Avengers Campus for 2026. But there would be one more thing I would do to the entire resort, and that is add more healthy food options. In comparison to other theme park chains, Disneyland is quite good in the food department, but as far as finding healthy options is concerned, it's still a little hard, especially if you're there for 2 or 3 days. I'm not exactly sure where these new food additions would be, But either way, getting more healthy food options into the park can never hurt. And at the end of the day, you need good food to sustain you for an entire day at the Disneyland Resort. For 2027, I'm finally going to add a roller coaster, which at that time would make it 26 years since Disneyland's and California Adventure's last coaster edition when DCA opened to the public in 2001. Hard to imagine it's been that long since the Disneyland Resort has gotten a new coaster. So where is it going to be going? California Adventure Avengers Campus. If you couldn't tell, a main focus of this video was making Avengers Campus a true land, and adding a roller coaster would be the cherry on top. Okay, so here's my thinking. I'm thinking an indoor roller coaster, possibly one that spins, and no, this is not Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, and it would be a ride with lots of theming. One of the main features of this ride would be Doctor Strange opening the multiverse around you. If you put a lot of money into this scene, it could be really, really cool. Especially if you're spinning all the while. And with that, Avengers Campus all of a sudden is made much more complete. But with all that being said, that's just what I would do if I owned the Disneyland Resort. If you bought the Disneyland Resort, what would you add? I'd love to hear down below.